Hello, in this video I'll show you how to use tables with MudBlazor in Blazor. That is in this case client-side Blazor, but you can definitely apply that to the server-side Blazor as well. Now I have a couple of examples. We have the table 1, which is basically just a simple table right here. We have IDs, we have a title, we have values, a couple of values. And that's it basically, right? And we also have rows, okay? So we have rows per page, and we can have either 20 or 10 rows per page. Now, if we have 20, we can move through pages. So this is all done by this sort of MudBlazor arrangement, quite an easy thing to do. What is a bit more tricky is filtering and sorting. Right here, as you can see, I have a filter field. So if I enter 11, right, and I do the search, let's say I do 7 now, click on that, and you can see I have test 7 and test 17. It filters the titles, the records rather, than have titles that contain the word or the letter in this case, or the digit rather, 7. Okay, so you just basically pick what contains, but the main thing I want to explain is how to actually sort of use that filtering system. Now, another thing is the sort. So you just do it like that, of course, right, in a table, top to bottom, bottom to top, just a simple thing like that. So let's go to Visual Studio. Let's see how it all comes together, how it all works. Not too difficult, and if you want to learn how to set up a MudBlazor itself, take a look at my previous video. I'll show you what to paste where and what to copy from where, just sort of basic setup, and also I show you how to use the icons with MudBlazor. Very useful tool, this one, and it actually works. It's been through several versions. It seems to be ongoing in terms of versions, nothing really breaks that much. So onto the table, and first of all, the example that we have here. So we have test model. You will of course need a class model. Everything is based on these class models in Blazor. That's how you make your life easier. So we have ID, title. These are 2 strings, and then we have a couple of integers, val1 and val2. And then in the protected override on initialize the sync, we have a randomize, and we basically just randomize some data. We insert the data. And then we have test list, from which we display the table, right? So this is the list. Now, obviously, in your real world application, you'll probably get this from some API and then display it like that. And there are many sort of customizing features that you can do. This is what I really like about this MudBlazor arrangement. You can actually customize this stuff, unlike some other libraries that don't really allow you to do those things. So to create a table, you use MudTable. Okay, you use MudTable from the MudBlazor, and then the items will be your list, right? So you provide your list in the items. That is quite a simple thing. And then you have some of these options for styles. Say, for example, you have bordered. This will give you borders between the table records, kind of like an Excel table, if you will, right? So it's either true or false. By default, it's false. And then hover will basically give you a hover effect when hovering on each record, on each row. And then we can go into the header. So this is table header, quite a usual thing, right? We have a header for the table, and then we have ID, and then we have the row template. So the row template is basically a sort of a for loop, or for each loop that loops through these through this test list, and it takes each item and then it puts it into place. Now, to use it, to access it, and to place it into that place, you need to access the context, okay? So it's kind of like if you do a sort of default for each, you'll have items, so this is the same thing. The difference is, of course, that the word is not item or some custom word that you might have. It is context in this case. So context is going to have the properties of your data model, of your object, and then you display them by selecting them. And then you have the data label for that particular cell. Okay, so that goes into row template. Everything that's data, your data to be displayed, goes into the row template, and the header content is sort of static, but you will see there is a bit of a difference with the sorting. Now then, we go into the pager content, and the pager allows you to have some options in terms of those page sizes, right? And for that, we simply use page size options, where we have an integer array, and you can probably guess these are the options of how many records you want to display per page, how many records you want to allow. Now, of course, this does take from that one model, and if you have a more complex arrangement where you perhaps don't retrieve all the data from your server, you would have to invoke something a bit different, but this works perfectly if you just want to retrieve everything and then just allow the user for perhaps different sizes so they don't get lost in your table. So this is just the basics of the table. Now let's get into the sorting. The sorting will be in the page table too, and you can find the source code on Patreon, just like pretty much every other source code for my videos on YouTube. You can find it all there, and you also get some free courses, and on the highest tier you can actually make me do your specific video, the video that you want on a specific topic. I will take it and I'll explain it. So we have the mud table, just like we had previously. Then we have the items, we have the test list. The test list is exactly the same as in page 1. And then we have hover true. I always like to put the hover true, otherwise it doesn't look all that good. And then we'll have this filter. But let's start with the sorts, okay? Let's start with the sorts. Let's ignore the toolbar content for now. And then we have pretty much exactly the same stuff that we had in the sort of basic table right here. We have a header content. We have ID, title. But then for the value 1, by which we allow to sort, and you can allow to sort by one of them or all of them or 2 of them or however many you want or have, you can do all that stuff. But to apply a sort, it's actually quite simple. You simply use a mud table sort label. You use that, and then in there, you see, in it, you provide the header name. In it, you provide it. And then you need to use sort by. And then you have this sort of rather elaborate arrangement of func, right? F-U-N-C. Now, the second is object. The first part is your model. So don't get lost, don't make the mistake of, say, doing context or providing the whole list, something like that. No. It's just the model for your item. That's all you need to provide. And then you do sort of a link arrangement by which you basically declare the value by which you want to filter. Sort of a straightforward arrangement, just don't forget that you do it in the header. You see, you do it in the header, you put the mud table sort label in the header, and then you do this sort by with this func thing. So it's all pretty much straightforward. The only thing you would need to change is obviously the test model. You probably have another name, different name, and then this val1, that would change to whichever value you are filtering or rather sorting by in this case. And we also have the initial direction, which is sort direction ascending, and you can obviously have it descending, or you have none as well. So 3 different options, 3 basic and basically default options, right? Now that is sort taken care of. Now we can get into the filters, which is a bit more difficult. So for the filter, we also have this FUNC func arrangement function, right? If you don't sort of understand what the stuff is, perhaps you're not into that part of the C# programming language, don't worry about it. You just need to know that it is there, and you need to know what needs to change, okay? So in here we also provide the model, right? The class model, the type of the item in the list, okay? And then we provide Boolean, because it will return true or false. I'll explain how that works, but first let's take a look at this. Okay? And then we provide I called it filter cycle check. This is going to be the method that sort of takes care of that filtering. Okay, and you do all that in the filter. Okay, you do all that in the filter. So this is what it looks like. And now let me explain how it actually works. So let's go into this code right here. And right here we have a private Boolean filter cycle check. And as you can see, it takes test model item. It takes that. What happens is it basically goes through every item. Okay, the list goes through every item, and if this method returns true, it displays that item. Okay, if this method returns true, it displays the item. If it returns false, it does not display the item. It's as simple as that, right? And then you have to obviously check for your parameters, whatever it may be. It may be contains, it may be some kind of a regular expression. So whatever you want to do. Now in this case we have the search term, which is this string. I'll show you where to put the box. Okay, so we have that, and we check if basically the title of each record contains this, and if it does, we return true, meaning that the record which contains will be displayed, and if it doesn't, we simply return false. Now we can make a more elaborate arrangement, lots of different things you can do with this. So let's just go to the top, right here, to the top, and then we have, you can see right here, toolbar content. So this is kind of a default thing you can find in the documentation as well. I think something similar you can find. It's a bit more complex what they show, but basically you just have some text, and you can have more things. You just have to use these toolbar spaces between each element. I believe that works actually quite well. I've tried it on a bit of a bigger scale, and it did seem to work out in quite a decent way. But basically we have mod text field, which binds the value with the search term, right? With the search term it binds the value, and then on the something called adamant icon. Okay, let's see. We have this adamant icon, and what I really wanted to say, this bind value right here, it will bind, but it won't actually search, so you will need to sort of initiate it or do it somewhere on the click, or just press the return key on the keyboard, and the search will initiate. And once the search is initiated, once again it will loop through each one of those elements, and it will sort of invoke this method, and it will return true or false, and it will give you the result. Now, I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to learn how to set up the MudBlazor in general, how to use the icons as well, take a look at my previous videos. Also take a look at my other videos related to Blazor, my Blazor examples course, which is now free on YouTube. And if you want to learn Blazor, take a look at my Blazor course. It's quite inexpensive. It's in the link in the description. Also check out my Patreon. I do provide some free courses on even the lowest tiers, so it's quite a good deal, actually cheaper than buying one of my courses. So do take a look at that, do subscribe to the channel, and with that we will conclude this video.